Hey there folks, so today we're going to talk about how to not die quite as horribly when you're trying to fight an ESF solo and a Liberator. I'm going to start out with just a couple of basic strategies that you can use for fighting them, and then we're going to move on and I'm going to show you a couple of different clips where I am fighting ESF solo, and I'm basically going to explain my reasoning and what I'm doing during that to you. Now this first strategy is going to rely entirely upon your Dalton, as they're going to be trying to kite the ESF into an area where the engagement is more favorable for you. I like to use it when I first get attacked. It allows me to figure out where my opponent is, who I'm fighting, and it gives me a little bit of time to figure out where I want to go with the fight from here. It's also very helpful if you're fighting over a base where you're getting a lot of ground fire, as it allows you to draw the ESF away from that support and lets you have a little bit easier of a time fighting it, as well as giving you the potential to just end the fight right there if you land the Dalton. Now, the general strategy for this is going to be you want to nose towards your opponent a little bit and angle onto your side so that the belly of your Liberator is pointing right at where you think the ESF is coming from. From there, you're going to want to switch into your second seat, find the ESF, fire off a Dalton in the general area, and more importantly, you really want to watch where that round goes and make adjustments from there. If you're not learning from where your last round went, you're going to have to get lucky to land the shot. Whereas if you watch where that last round goes and adjust from there, you've got a lot higher chance of hitting your opponent, taking him out, and moving on. Alright, so let's say that your opponent got past those first couple of Dalton rounds and they are now closing on you. What's going to happen next is more of a hover or strafing fight where you're going to be relying primarily on your tank buster to do the damage. Now, when you get into a fight like this with an ESF, it's all about prediction. You're trying to figure out what route they're going to be going and how you can put your Liberator in a position to get the tank buster rounds on target. As most of you probably know, Tank Buster fires extremely slowly, it has a lot of drop and a lot of damage fall off, which makes it admittedly rather difficult to hit the fast-moving, small-targeted ESF. But what you want to try to do is figure out where they're going, and you want to get your nose up and in front of that. I like to fire off short bursts, as you can see me doing at ranges like this. The reason for that is instead of firing an entire clip off at one time and just, kind of an all or nothing, I'm going to hit a lot or I'm going to miss them all. That's not really helpful. You fire a lot of rounds and you're stuck in a long reload while the ESF is free to do damage. If you fire shorter bursts at a time, what that allows you to do is get your range. You can figure out where the rounds are going, where they're going, and how you need to adjust from there. A lot of times people ask me how to keep the ESF on your nose, how to find where they're going, and to an extent, I just have to tell you that a lot of it is practice. You need to learn how to use your minimap to track your targets, and you need to really keep an eye on the edges of your screen, watch for that telltale wind stream from the ESF going by, and watch for where the rounds are coming from and move from there. As you can see, I kind of go backwards, I dive forwards, move in different patterns to try to follow, and a lot of it is just practice and getting the feel for it. Now for these next couple, I'm going to show you some footage and I'm just going to kind of talk about what's going on while I do this. Now you can see that first pass, I pretty much completely missed. That ESF was intentionally or not being fairly smart. He held control while coming at me instead of space like most people do, and it allowed him to go underneath of the tank buster, dodging it. Now, at this point, I'm just going to kind of follow him around. He's a little bit skittish. I don't want to keep shooting and scare the ESF away, so I'm just going to follow. I'm going to maintain a little bit of distance, try to get in close, and wait for my opportunity. Right here, I'm using the trails from the ESF at the top to track where he's going, and then I switch down to Dalton, try to figure out where he's at, find him, and I'm going to start taking Dalton shots. At this point, I rush this shot right here. I could have taken him out right there if I would have waited a moment, but I don't. He gives me another opportunity, and it's game over. Now, as this one starts, you may have noticed in the last one I used the Dalton a lot at the end. I don't usually do quite that much, however, I wasn't really worried about getting killed by him, and that gave me a really good opportunity to practice using the Dalton a little bit more, and I would advise anyone trying to learn to gun better to do that too. So this one, you can see an invisible ESF in the background shooting at me. But I took my time with that shot, waited for him to get into the opportunity, and then took him out. Now, this next one's coming in, I start shooting a little bit early, land a couple at the end. But right here, you see one of the annoying things about fighting an ESF and a Liberator. I got those shots on, not really that much damage, but at this point, he apparently saw me Dalton the other one, doesn't want to fight, and is going to be able to just run away. Alright, so for this next one, I start out kind of following this ESF. But I'm going to take damage from behind now, so roll a little bit, check out, find that scythe behind me. Going to take a shot, but not really anywhere near where I wanted it to be. Didn't lose a whole lot of time though, and I'm going to pull off a ram there. I got him underneath the belly, which is a relatively safe place to ram. Now, I rush this Dalton, it goes high, but I come around, get some tank buster into him. Now this ESF, I'm stuck in a reload, so I switch, Dalton, and he's down. However, I've been taking flak this whole time, and it's too late. So this clip is going to kind of illustrate the importance of patience. Now, I'm getting hit by that Reaver, but I finish the Dalton on the Vanguard and turn around to go for the Reaver. This guy's pretty smart. He's using a lot of vertical thrust and afterburner to stay away from the tank buster. I'm also getting hit by flak, which is obscuring my vision and making it relatively difficult to concentrate on what I'm trying to do. Now, right now, I'm going to go for the last minute Dalton, and here's the important part. I wait for that shot right there, and that's what you have to do. You've got to wait until you've got your opportunity and then take it. Don't rush your shot. So this is a fairly short one. I started out with a lovely little scythe boop. I'm getting hit by that other scythe, but figure I may as well finish him off. Now, I take off here, I get locked and hit, so I know I'm dealing with a lock-on ESF. I turn around here, and I see that I'm not going to be able to get my tank buster down in time, so instead go for the Dalton and land that, quickly ending the fight. Alright, so this one there's actually a little bit of lib at the beginning of it, instead of fighting an ESF. But what I'm doing here, I'm spotting out my two targets, I'm figuring out what I want to go for first. The lib is falling behind, and I can see that he's solo, so I decide to go for him first. I figure he'll be an easier target. At this point, I just horrendously miss tank buster, just really, really horrible. But I land most of them here. He's gonna come in. I pull out of the tank buster, Dalton, pretty easy finisher. I got lucky there. That could have gone a lot worse. Now I'm going to turn to engage the ESF. Fire off that Dalton for the Hail Mary, and he's coming right in now, so I'm going to try to get my tank buster in front of where I think he's going, and I'm going to pull off a pretty good shot here. I get him down low, I would estimate down to about 20%. Now, again, this is going to be the annoying part about fighting ESFs. He sees me turn back around to engage. I have almost full health, and he just decides to run back to Warp Gate. The point is, an ESF essentially can disengage you at any point, whereas you don't have that ability against an ESF. You can't run from them. So you've got to make the fights quick and finish them, or they will get away. Alright, so for this clip, I see two ESFs on the ground right now. That guy's taken off, so I'm going to target him first. Miss that first one, readjust, land number 2. I'm going to turn around here and take that other one out before it can get up off the ground, which I do. Pretty easy target when they're on the ground not moving. Can't really brag about that one. Now here I'm getting hit by something, and I thought that I heard a mosquito behind me. Now that gets confirmed when I'm taking rotary fire. I'm gonna turn around. I don't really want to Dalton with how low I am to the ground, but I turn around, he's coming straight on at me. I get the tank buster in front, he goes up, I fire off a couple rounds to figure out my angle, and then finish pretty easily there. Alright, so that's about all I have for this video, folks. Hopefully you found that helpful. Hopefully it answered a couple of questions. And if there's anything else you want to know, feel free to send me a message on YouTube or in-game, and I'll see what I can do about answering that question for you. After this clip is over, I'm going to leave you with one final clip, which I have entitled No HUD MLG YOLO Swag. Thanks for watching.